It's March 29th, 2018. This is a video about Facebook censorship. It's a video about Faisal Saeed Al Mutar. A little bit about Sam Harris. Some about neo-Marxist postmodernism. About so-called transgenderism. And the LGBTQ Stonewall social justice warriors, SJWs. I'm on Facebook. I've been a follower of followers, and I see his posts of Faisal Saeed Al Mutar, because in the past I thought he had some useful points, but more recently, in part because of my recovery from Sam Harris appreciation and my increased appreciation for people like Jordan Peterson, I have realized that Faisal is a bit myopic in some of his views, and as a former leftist, I have an increased level of perspective than just someone who was never a leftist. I was a member of 2 Unitarian Universalist church congregations, and anyway, I thought that the left was a panacea answer to the right. Then later I found out it's not. So anyway, on the 25th of March, Faisal posted an article about how in Pakistan, on a Pakistan news channel, a so-called transgender person is on there for the first time. Now, the transgender term is the Stonewall SJW term, but the true term is gender dysphoria. So anyway, Faisal Saeed Al Mutar posted a response to the Pakistan tranny newscaster being on there. He said, "Great." And then I posted a short response with a reference to one of my blog posts about how one of my family members got sucked into that whole nihilistic dead-end cultish meme set of leftism and went off a cliff as a result. Lost his family, or at least his marriage, as a result, probably contributing factor. Anyway, I posted a response referencing my blog, a pretty short response, that I said it was not great. Then some rainbow flag followers of Faisal answered, and one of those followers responded to me, and he said, "Suck it." And so then I respond to that person, and I said, well, Hollywood really wants us to suck on a huge John Thomas. And if you're a fan of Monty Python, you would know what a John Thomas is. But anyway, a huge gay John Thomas. So, rape culture Hollywood. Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Clinton was kind of lumped in there too. Hollywood loved Hillary Clinton, a rape enabler. Anyway, Hollywood spends a great deal of time trying to shove a huge gay John Thomas down the throats of normal people and forcing their agenda, forcing their memes, forcing their ideas and everyone else, forcing through the power of law also, and forcing through every lever they can pull. The people who run Facebook are leftists. The people who are the censors on Facebook are leftists. And of course, they are not interested in freedom of speech. They're instead interested in something called social justice. And so are these rainbow flag followers of Faisal Saeed Al Mutar. They're not interested in a free exchange of ideas. They're interested in reporting a response to the leftists of Facebook who will, of course, engage in reflexive censorship of conservative ideas. But you know what? Social conservatism is couched within religious contexts. So, Zucky fucks Facebook. It's a popular place with a lot of people. That's why there's value in existing in there, even as a conservative. You can still try to red pill people and educate people. But in the early days of the internet, there was something called the public internet, where it was used by a lot of people. It started to be used by a lot of people as opposed to just universities. There's something called Operation Clambake. Operation Clambake was, it may still be going, was an operation where it was exposing the crazy stuff in Scientology, right? The deep stuff that you have to pay thousands of dollars to find out. The more nutty stuff. Anyway, Operation Clambake was basically setting up multiple websites so that Scientology lawyers would shut down one website, but then there'd be more mirrors of the information. So my message to Mark Zuckerberg, also known as Zuckyfuck, and my message to the Facebook censors, who can go fuck themselves, is that you can stop my ideas one way, but you're not going to stop all the ways. And to the rainbow flag followers of Faisal Saeed Al Mutar, you can stop my ideas one way, but you're not going to stop all the ways. So a rainbow flag is means you're basically a homo-Nazi. The Nazis of today. Nazism was a leftist phenomenon. Fascism, Italian fascism, was a leftist phenomenon founded by leftists. And so it's all left. The left is all about totalitarian control and shutting down conversation and just having one way of doing things, and having a centralized government that you give all your rights over to and hand your life over to. But the thing that they don't realize is humans are naturally selfish and will try to gain power. And so, for all intents and purposes, socialism is basically a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is where you try to get new members in, and then you take their money. You take the money of the previous people, and then you get new people, and you try to get more money in. But you're really shafting everybody, and all the money's just going up to the top. Okay? And the other people just get a pittance or nothing. You know, look at Venezuela. Look at the Soviet Union. You have the ultra rich who skate at the expense of all the other people. So that's socialism. Anyway, you can tell a person by their followers. On Jordan Peterson's page, I get the most likes. On the Sam Harris related forums, where there's people actually there who were kind of recovering from a Sam Harris appreciation, I get some likes and some dislikes. On Faisal Saeed Al Mutar's page, I got pretty much universal dislikes to my trying to red pill people about how gender dysphoria should not be enabled. It should be discouraged. With gender dysphoria, there's a very high suicide rate. So, you know what? Leftist libertarians have asked me in the past, why should you give a shit about what other people do? You know, for example, pot smoking running your brain. Why should I care if someone destroys their lives? Because I've seen people in my own family destroy their lives because of jumping off the leftist meme set cliff. I don't want to see people destroy their lives. It impacts. And also, when people are in rehab, or when more people destroy their lives, it ends up costing me more tax money. So that is an impact on me. That's one thing that the libertarians don't take into account, is what are the downstream effects of destructive deadly behaviors. There's evolved reasons for key evolved reasons for evolutionary reasons for shaming for destructive deadly behaviors. And I realize that churches like the Mormon Church go too far. The Islamic cult goes too far. And they ended up creating ultra-leftist reactionaries in response. And Faisal Saeed Al Mutar is basically an ultra-leftist reactionary. And his followers are ultra-leftist reactionaries. And you know what? Coming from Iraq, okay, so Faisal grew up under Saddam Hussein, and then he came to America, and he jumped right into leftist atheism. But leftist atheists are a dime a dozen. A dime a dozen. It's easy to be a leftist atheist. Just hate all the stuff you were taught in the past and try to act exactly the opposite, and then engage in kind of a crusade against all the stuff you were taught in the past. That's an abusive position, though, because in as much as evolved morality is couched within religious contexts, then you're basically denying a basic human nature. But neo-Marxist postmodernism denies human nature all the time. The people who believe that children are born blank slates when they're not. The people who believe that men and women have equal desires to do things have the equal outcome. As opposed to equal opportunity, the neo-Marxist postmodernist socialist leftists believe in equality of outcome. But people don't have, you can't engage in equality of outcome and have anything but a totalitarian, micromanaging, abusive system. Males and female humans are a sexually dimorphic species. That means there's some shared traits and there's some traits that are not shared between the two genders. Also, humans are a binary gender species. There's only two genders. You can't change your gender. If you chop off your penis and take hormones to grow your breasts and have long hair and put on lipstick, that doesn't make you a woman. You're just a mutilated man. You're just a mutilated, mentally ill man. And if you enlarge your clitoris and with surgery and take male hormones and have some balls implanted and some extra skin added, some plastic balls put in next to your vagina, or I guess you have your vagina sewn up or something. Whatever mutilations you do to your body, it doesn't change your gender, okay? That's like worse than you're abusing yourself even more. So one of Faisal's followers said, "Oh, the cure for gender dysphoria is transitioning to the gender you think you are." God damn, that's not a cure. That's an enablement of a non-cure. So anyway, to the censors on Facebook, go fuck yourself. You're gonna block me one way, but you're not gonna block me all the ways. So Zucky, fuck the censors on Facebook. If you're listening, I hope you are. Just go fuck yourself. You're not gonna block my ideas. You're not gonna block the ideas of social conservatism. And if you do, you just destroy more lives. Just be an enabling force for people committing suicide more by glomming onto the leftist meme set, and help more gender dysphoric people commit suicide by having them go through the transition surgery. Okay, go ahead and do that. Rob, as for the LGBTQ crowd, the regular sexual inverts, homosexual, so-called gay people. Rob more, Facebook censor, would you please rob more humans of the happiness that they will have if they have children? You'll be the most happy in your life if you live an inherently reproductive life, a life that includes children, a life that includes children naturally born to a man and a woman couple. That's how you'll have the most happiness. Win or lose now, you must choose now. That's a hippie song that has some truth in it. A leftist hippie song from the 60s or 70s. Win or lose now, you must choose now. Take your place on the great Mandela. So if you don't have children, you have a little speck on the great Mandela instead of a reasonable place. Who's going to care that you were alive in 100 years? That's a key point. If you don't have children, yeah. So you'd put some art in an art museum. You were a curator for an art museum where you put on the restroom doors that gender is non-binary, like the dumb shit Utah Museum of Fine Arts, the dumb shits who run that with my tax money. Neo-Marxist postmodernism promoted by the state of Utah. So anyway, you could be a curator to some art museum, or an interior decorator, or cut people's hair, but okay, that's fine. I guess you helped a little bit, but you'll have a greater place on the Great Mandela, and you'll have a happier life if you live as close to our evolutionary traits, evolutionary heritage, our built-in drives, as possible. 1.2 billion years of sexual evolutionary history ought to count for something. 1.2 billion years is the time that sexual animals have lived on this planet. So that ought to count for something. Eugenicist Margaret Sanger came out with her birth control pill, and okay, that's tried to separate sex from reproduction, but you can't separate sex from reproduction. Sex is where you engage in inherently reproductive activities. If it's not inherently reproductive, then it's just mutual masturbation. And okay, for 12 to 24-year-olds, masturbation has some utility because you know, it's a little bit maybe too early to start a family, but when you're ready to start dating, you should try to devote your sexual energies to inherent reproduction as opposed to other things. You know, especially when you're over 18 dating. Okay. So, if you shop at Whole Foods and you think that living a natural life is possible, then don't pop eugenicist Margaret Sanger's birth control pill. That's not living a natural life. Okay. And if you're a feminazi who thinks that women should have, that there should be an equal number of women in the jobs that men like to do more, you're basically denying human nature. Humans are a sexually dimorphic species. That means there's different traits between two different genders. So like I say, I get the most likes when I talk to the Jordan Peterson folks, mostly. A few exceptions, but mostly. Michael Shermer, not so much. He's basically a cookie-cutter leftist. He thinks he's a skeptic, but he's not really a skeptic of leftist positions. He's just an enabler for leftist positions. Abusive, lefty libertarian positions, which deny human nature some too. Sam Harris is basically a hack, and Faisal Saeed Al Mutar rides on his coattails. He's like... Faisal's relationship with Sam Harris is basically that of one of those screaming girls during a Beatles concert. You know, like, ooh, Sam Harris, ooh, hoo. But Sam Harris is basically a hack. He didn't learn from his elders. He didn't learn from Dan Dennett. We do have free will. Sam Harris doesn't understand consciousness. Sam Harris is basically a peddler of Buddhist woo. Sam Harris is a Buddhist woo-meister. And also we have wanted to vote for rape-enabling, pay-to-play whore Hillary Clinton, compared to very useful boat rocker Trump. Anyway, Milo Yiannopoulos was right about Trump. Trump is the best de facto libertarian candidate we've had ever recently. But Hillary Clinton was just more of the slimy same. And she was, goddamn, she's a sociopath. Sociopath and maybe psychopath, depending on who you ask. But she's a psychopath, a rape enabler. She just wants power. Everything else be damned. That's kind of a sociopath, right? She doesn't have a conscience. She's just good at leftist virtue signaling. That's all she's good at. Lawyerly leftist virtue signaling. And you notice the people who support her were Hollywood. Rape culture Hollywood. So anyway, The left is all about projection. Whatever they accuse the right of, they're doing in spades. The cultural right live lives which are closer to our evolutionary heritage. And so they're more happy as a result. They're less nihilistic. They value life. So eventually, in my older age, before it was too late, I came to value life. Had children before it was too late. Have a family before it was too late. Yeah. I could have been sucked into these non-reproductive outlier shit, but I wasn't. Good. I kept myself away. So that's good. Glad I kept myself away from being a non-reproductive outlier, and I chose life before it was too late. So that's my advice. No, God will punish you if you don't do what I advise. But the God concept couches evolved traits. The religions couch evolved traits. So, with that apparent fact, it's hard to be an intellectually honest leftist, social leftist. Can't really be intellectually honest if you realize that humans have built-in morality, and part of that morality includes shaming for destructive deadly behaviors. So anyway, but these leftist censors, you want to do that, then fuck you, and you're not going to stop me. Operation Clambake is being engaged for Johnny. Okay? It's a big world. And I got time. Believe me, I got time. Yeah, I'm busy with my family, but okay. You're going to be an asshole and block me then. I got time. And I got ways to get my ideas out. So Faisal, oh my goodness, Faisal, you're kind of disappointing. Yeah, came from Iraq, jumped into lefty atheism. Big deal, so boring. So, more Jordan Peterson, less Sam Harris. More Jordan Peterson, less Michael Shermer. Maybe even more me, although, I have less time to devote to commentary, which is why I do it in my car. For now. But, yeah. Anyway, the ultra-left does act like a cult with Dogma, Doctrine, Heresy trials, Excommunications, attempted censorship. And they're basically far huger assholes and far more damaging assholes than abusive assholes than what the Mormon Church does. The Mormon Church abuses people, but the cultural left, think about all the victims of the cultural left. The victims of eugenicist Margaret Sanger and her baby-killing abattoir. The victims, the unborn, they are victims too. Unborn, caused by eugenicist Margaret Sanger's birth control pill. People sucked into non-reproductive outlier lives. The LGBTQ, it's just all a bunch of letters that means going against our evolved natures to have children. All those letters just mean that. That's all they mean. Just a bunch of letters, a bunch of bullshit letters, which is just equal to a bunch of bullshit, equal to an abusive life, which is separated from having children. So, anyway, so I care. I don't want my kids sucked into that bullshit. I don't like the fact that my family got sucked into that bullshit. I'm glad I didn't. I did get sucked in for a little bit, but then I escaped. That's good. So, life experiences. The left only values life experiences that validate their dumb shit denialist leftist abusive position, but they don't value life experiences where, my life experiences led me to be a reborn social conservative, an atheist social conservative, a naturalistic social conservative, a Christian meme set appreciating atheist, an enlightenment, Western enlightenment appreciating person, Western enlightenment values, the truth, everything else be damned. And the truth and facts do not validate the neo-Marxist, postmodernist, cultural leftist meme set. They just don't. The facts, pragmatic facts, actual facts, observed facts, scientific facts, science meaning, and when I say science, I don't mean leftist scientists. They often aren't scientists. They're often just de facto cultists or religionists, their own religion. And true science, honest science. So, all right, that's my message for you, whoever's listening. Okay, bye. Have fun. And you'll have the most fun if you have kids and inherently reproductive life, all right? And try to treat them as nice as best you can. I know it's hard sometimes. No one's perfect, but do the best we can. All right.